Hey, everybody. I'm in Boston this weekend at Goof's Comedy Club. Very silly name, but it's a fun club. And then the following week, I'm at Dr. Grin's, also kind of a silly name. So get tickets now at punchup.live/Raanan/tickets. There's not a lot of tickets left for the Boston shows. Get them now. Don't wait. And enjoy this episode.
Raanan is fat and he's a Jew. He'll tell you something that you already knew. Your favorite movie sucks. Your favorite movie sucks. American Beauty or Forrest Gump. Your favorite movie sucks.
We are back with another episode of Your Favorite Movie Sucks. Today we have a reoccurring guest, Christopher Shinn, a Pulitzer-prize nominated playwright of Dying City. I said that like I was going to list your other.
That's just the one, the only one.
But well, today we're doing something different. Now, this is, of course, Your Favorite Movie Sucks, where I rewatch a friend's favorite movie and I tell them why it's great or why it sucks in my opinion, and we get in a fight about it, or we agree the whole time. It kind of goes either way. But you had an idea that I loved, and so we're switching stuff up today. We're doing My Favorite Movie Sucks. That's what we're going to call it, where you rewatch one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
And then we talk about it. So that's what we're doing. I recommend it to me. I mean, what I consider as close to a perfect movie as possible. So this is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
And it's, of course, right there.
Oh, my God. I never even noticed
It's
that.
literally the whole thing's probably not, but it's Sideways. We're gonna talk about Sideways today. I mean, I'm whatever. I don't get like, this is gonna be interesting.
Yeah.
I want to kind of try to see if I can guess. Now, you didn't like this movie when you saw it,
Well, I mean, the reason you gave me 4 movies
Yes.
to choose from.
and you like all the other ones.
2 of them I loved. One I remember not liking.
What was it for? It was Nashville, Jaws,
And then the one I didn't like was Mystic River.
yeah.
And then Sideways. And I didn't like Sideways at the time. I think I was 29 when it came out. And I thought, I was kind of a brat that time. I was very intense and passionate, and maybe I was a bit of a contrarian. I thought it was the movie that possibly, I feel like I know I wouldn't like Mystic River. I feel like I remember it well enough to know that something about it really turned me off. But I was like, with Sideways, I was like, I might like it. So let me pick Sideways. Either way, it'll be interesting.
Right. And Mystic River, I think we decided was like, as much as I love that movie, I saw it 5 times in theaters. I was obsessed with it. As much as I love that movie, I'm very aware of the flaws. So I don't think it would have been as interesting an episode because I'm at least this one will be a little more. So what did you think this watching again? I don't want you to play devil's advocate here. All right.
Oh, yeah.
You're right. So if you liked it, you liked it. Don't like,
No, I'm going to be honest.
Okay. Yeah, of course.
I'm going to be honest. I want to know, and I'm not deflecting, but I feel like it'd be good to just start with why is this your favorite movie?
Well,
what happened? What was going on in your life when you saw it?
Yeah. That's so interesting too that I was watching it going, how could he not like this movie? And you were probably watching it going, why is this his favorite movie? So this is gonna be an interesting episode to see how I'm in the other chair.
Yeah.
And I get to see how annoying I am. This is like the scene in there's a scene in Family Guy where he's like a prisoner in jail and he like stabs himself, one of the characters. He's like, oh, so that's how it feels or something, So I saw it in theaters. I mean, there's so many things to say about this movie why it affected me. I mean, there's 2 levels, okay? There's one level that is a personal thing that is subjective, which is that I deeply relate to this character. I mean, I feel like this character is me in so many ways.
Yeah.
Now, that's personal. That's subjective.
Yeah.
I do happen to think it's an incredible execution of a character that I do relate to. So I will say, an artist who's struggling, who feels a sense of failure, who's always negative, who also, and this is something I really realized rewatching this time, I've seen it so many times, he can't really hide his emotions. I feel like a big thing of this movie is that he really cannot hide his sadness, and then the other character can hide it all the time. But there's so many scenes where Paul Giamatti where I'm like, with a different character, they would have probably a close up. They would have probably not looked so sad. For another character, if they look that sad, it might be mugging. Especially in a close up.
Yeah.
But he really is a character who cannot hide. He is authentic, and he is And I heard a definition of a neurotic is someone who like doesn't have illusions. So it's like you're just seeing life the way it is.
Yeah.
So it's like just really depressing. But he can't get over something. And I think the unrequited thing was big with me. I think that's huge.
He's still in love with his wife from whom he's divorced.
Yeah. He's obsessed with a fantasy, essentially. I think back in the day when I watched it, I had a lot of unrequited feelings towards different women. Now, this wasn't people I'd been married to.
Yeah.
These are people I probably didn't even date, but just women I'd like love, like fell, an obsessive fantasy. Probably closer to something like Vertigo, but like I could apply that to this.
Yeah,
and the sense of unrequitedness in this, and the sense of like the thing you really think you want, you don't, but you really think you do, and you really think getting back with this person will be the happiness in your life. And the sad acceptance of, not just sad, but the beautiful, sad acceptance of the end, which is, he gets with the girl at the end, well, he at least attempts to.
He knocks on the door. It's a famous last shot.
Last shot, yeah.
We'll get to the ending. We'll get there.
But it's also rating, and it's also like, to me, it's like this sad wisdom of like really acceptance, of accepting that this other life is gone, moving forward, and like, giving love to the people who are wanting to receive it, not living in a fantasy, And I also think it's fucking hilarious. I think, rewatching again, I think this is the greatest tragic comedy of all time. I don't know another movie that is this funny, that is also this like open about despair, existential despair.
Yeah.
I find it so fucking funny. Every moment, like just them two, it's so precise, them two. The way they talk, the way Thomas Hayden Church speaks like a fucking middle schooler. Like, it's so sad, but like, I just like, it's patheticness. That's what it is.
Yeah.
I love patheticness in a movie, and it captures that so well. And I just think it's hilarious, and I think it's really moving and insightful. And I mean, Beckett is like a tragic comedy, but to me, Beckett is always sadder than it's funny.
Yeah.
To me, this is in a way more of a tragic comedy because the sadness is there, but you're also watching a fully, like a 6-year-old naked guy run up to the car, that scene to just die laughing.
Yeah.
You don't have that in Beckett, So it's like, I don't know, it's the greatest tragic comedy. I'm rambling. I'm rambling here.
No, you brought up a lot of things we can unpack and discuss kind of one by one, I guess. I had another movie when you said tragic comedy, a movie in my mind that's hilarious but also sad in a way that I think has more integrity than this movie.
This is interesting. Your little drop, your first
I'm starting to layer it in.
Your first little drop of criticism. It has more integrity.
Well, I want to like gas you up a little bit.
Yeah.
As the way I see you as different than Paul Giamatti. Maybe this is a way the character.
Yeah.
This is maybe a way into what I mean. I don't know if this phrase. I know the title of your podcast is your favorite movie sucks.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody's said this earnestly, like use the title in the show, but I can honestly say, like, your favorite movie sucks. It really does. I think it's a really bad movie.
You think it's a really bad movie?
It's a terrible movie.
You think it's terrible?
It was a slog for me to get through this movie. Not only that, I was offended by it. I mean, like, I felt like my 29-year-old self just came back to life,
You felt like your old, like, bitter contrarian, negative contrarian self came back to life.
I was like, he's still here. And he's still full of passion. So that was exciting.
Negative passion.
That was exciting.
Wow, that's so fascinating. Wow. I mean, okay, yeah.
Here's one level I want to address right away.
Okay, all right,
okay. Go.
Are you about to say critiques?
No, I feel like you...
Because before you say critiques, I want to try to guess some of your critiques.
Okay.
All right, but keep on going. Sorry.
Well, I was just going to say... Well, no, if you want to guess, you should start guessing, because I feel like everything out of my mouth from this point forward is going to be some kind of critique.
Yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I do, like, if you have critiques, I was thinking it'd be fun.
Yeah.
If I try to guess a couple.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, because I don't know. I mean, like, I'm watching it, I'm like... I connect to every single moment of this movie. The detail in it is incredible. The everything is just perfect. I know these people in like real life, so many of them. I was thinking maybe you'd find. I will give you this: the Virginia Madsen is a boring character. She's kind of there as a device, and I will admit that.
Okay.
She's a boring character. She kind of doesn't really I will say the movie has so many interesting characters that it's almost like it doesn't have room for another interesting character. I know that's not a fair way to say it, but she is a bit of the... I mean, the movie is a flip on different genres, and there is clearly the rom-com genre that plays a part in this as much as the kind of swingers buddy comedy, you know? But she is a little boring. There's just not much to her besides... kind of like she's there to basically just kind of help Paul Giamatti and kind of she's there for him.
Yeah.
Right? Was that a critique?
No, definitely. I mean, I could expand on that basic critique and add multiple layers to it, but that is basically
okay. Well, let's go through all the other, and then we'll start
first.
for the first one. Okay. All right. So that's one. Sandra Oh, I think, is a more interesting character, but I do think Virginia Madsen is there to essentially, you know, and I will notice, I noticed in it, but once again, like, Paul Giamatti is an obnoxious character, and I think it's aware that he's obnoxious, and I do think that's a difference, okay? There's a lot of movies where you're, like, not aware, like, you know, but I do think it's aware that he's obnoxious. I will say there was a moment in it, but this is not a flaw, but maybe this gets into maybe my own kind of male narcissism, where there's a part where I noticed where she's talking about wine, he's very impressed by her, and he's like, wow. And it made me feel that narcissism I think I'm guilty of. This male narcissism of looking at a woman and being like, oh, wow, you're pretty smart in the things I've relegated as what constitutes being intelligent in. You know what I mean? So it's like there's so many different things you can be intelligent in, but I'm only impressed if you're smart in the field where I consider myself a master. So I did sense that obnoxiousness, and maybe some of that obnoxiousness you think is that male narcissism is not just him, but the director's view.
Yeah, I think that what you just said, again, it's a good jumping off point for some of my critiques. Yeah.
Okay.
We got two for two.
So those are correct.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, I guess you can't find it like morally offensive. These characters aren't. It's not like I mean, obviously Thomas Hayden Church is not a good guy, but like, there's no way you're like. The movie's not like saying the movie's not in support of their behavior.
I have questions about with the movie's relationship to the characters' pathologies for sure.
I thought maybe you'd think that it is questionable, and I've talked to certain women who like don't like the movie, and they have like a visceral reaction to it because you're watching two middle-aged guys, one of them just trying to get laid. Which, by the way, to me, it's like that's hilarious. He's literally about to get married, and he thinks he should get laid one last time, which is clearly the personality of someone who's going to have an affair in the marriage.
Yeah.
So I think that's hilarious, and clearly like. It's not like the movie itself is not caught in the delusion that he's having fun one last time. The movie is very aware that this marriage is a complete sham, you know, and that he's a fucked up person. But I guess Paul Giamatti's character he does go on with a lie.
He covers for him.
He
enables the lie. And it's a big lie because it's not just lying to Sandra Oh, but Sandra Oh has a child.
Yes.
So the moral weight of lying to somebody, you know, I think he tells her he is falling in love with her, right? Like, he makes it seem like I'm falling in love with you, and he starts to spin this fantasy of, you know, moving up there, all this stuff. And Paul Giamatti, you know, he conceals the deceit.
But it's only a valid critique if you think there's some blind spot in the director, and somehow they're thinking like. Because like obviously you could be like in Goodfellas they kill people obviously I don't think the movie is like morally condoning anything. I think it's no different than like Chekhov. I think it's showing people and all their frailty and, you know, maybe not judging them but showing them in a way that's, you know, objective. But obviously it's like clearly fucked up. But yeah, obviously Paul Giamatti is lying, and I mean I don't think they're great. I mean, I don't think they're great people, but I don't think people need to be great in a movie.
They don't. They definitely don't.
Yeah.
I just think, well, I don't know. Should I like launch into mine? Do you want to go?
No. So those are the only ones I can kind of imagine. I mean, I guess if you found it boring, to me, if you found it boring, it means you didn't find it funny, honestly. Which, if you don't find it funny, I mean, well, I don't know. There's not much we can do there because it is.
I don't think it's not funny.
Okay.
I get why it's funny.
I mean, like,
there were definitely times I laughed and thought, this is funny.
Like, having Thomas Hayden Church just be like, we're here to fucking party, man. Like, to me, that's funny. Like, it's funny to have a middle-aged man talking like a middle schooler trying to get laid.
It's a classic setup, right? It's like the friend who's like, let's get laid, and the one who's like depressed and neurotic.
Yes.
And the one who's just like,
But this isn't like the movie isn't from their like just a fun adventure movie. Like the movie is aware, like has awareness that characters doesn't have.
Well, this is where I think we'll get into an interesting discussion.
So let's hear your main.
But the first thing I want to say is, okay, maybe you related to Paul Did you feel watching it this time you still like really related to Paul Giamatti?
I mean, it's an exaggeration of like. I mean, I think we all, I don't know, part of me thinks we all can relate a little, but maybe that's projection. I mean, yeah, looking in the mirror and going, you're a fucking loser. I've been there. Seeing you're a fucking loser in the mirror, honestly, the thing I relate to the most, and this is maybe why I fell in love with the movie right away, it's just such a little thing, but when he's on the phone in the beginning and he's like, I'm there right away. I know, I'm coming right now. And it just cuts to him taking his shit reading.
Yeah.
That I really relate to.
That was funny. That was definitely funny.
Yeah, I relate to him. Obviously, I mean, there's actually an interesting question of like how talented is he? Which the first couple times I saw it, I thought he wasn't talented, or he was just not a great writer. Now I actually do wonder if he actually is very talented. He's just a little overwritten.
It's really hard to know, and I think it's an important thing to be clear about for the movie to work.
Right.
But when he describes his novel, it doesn't sound very compelling. It's like a guy taking care of his mother after a stroke.
Father
after a stroke, and it kind of becomes a mystery with an ambiguous ending.
And then I mean, it's obviously overwritten. I mean, that's the joke.
It's over
like,
750
the title,
pages.
Also, the title's overwritten. It's the day after yesterday. It literally could like just the title itself. But I think you're also supposed to think that there's some great passages.
I thought so too. Like when he has the call with the agent, when the agent tells him, the conundrum is not publishing the book.
You can relate to that part, just not like but just the way the manager goes. They're gutless now. I mean, that's such the bullshit.
Well,
stuff.
I have to say, it really depressed me that they're saying the same shit today that they did 20 years ago. Like, the market now, everything's changing. Making it seem like it's just this moment in time is especially superficial.
Of course.
At any other time, you'd be famous.
Of course.
And I'm like, oh, they've been saying this forever.
And that really gets to the heart of what I relate to as an artist, wanting to feel like I have meaning in the world and wanting to feel like that meaning is through success, when really the meaning is through another person. Like at the end, the novel becomes a connection between him and her. But like this feeling of how do I feel meaning when I feel so minuscule in the world?
Yeah.
I mean, that I think we, as any artist, can like relate to that, unless they're like super famous when they're younger, which to be fair, I guess you kind of were.
I was, I had my, I hit the heights early, and then it's just
that's what I'm saying. Like when you
decline.
When you saw it, you were probably popping, right?
I was probably at the height. Yeah, I was like at the height.
There you go. You were like this fucking mopey bastard.
But no, look, I want to gas you up a little here.
Yeah.
You got sober, if I'm correct about that.
Yeah.
I don't know you super well, but I have certain, things I think I'm aware of. You got married, like you're in a successful relationship. You got sober. Paul Giamatti's character, first of all, you can never make this movie today because he is a raging alcoholic.
So
and the movie doesn't acknowledge this at all. He's a complete alcoholic. The amount of wine these people drink, all of them.
No. Wait, hold on. It does acknowledge he's an alcoholic. What do you mean?
I do not think so.
Really?
Did you think it? I mean, the truly an addiction, right? Like a real addiction.
Yeah.
Is not represented in this movie. He gets drunk a few times. He resorts to wine when he feels rejected. But the landscape of the movie is like.
I guess you're right in the sense that it's not an addiction movie, and it certainly doesn't think the answer is rehab.
No, it doesn't even ever come up.
That's an interesting point. To me, the joke of it is that he hides behind the wine tasting to just get
it's like a rationalization.
Which I do think is very aware of. Now, I also do think he does love wine tasting, and there's this interesting relationship where when he's in a bad place, he actually punishes himself by not enjoying the wine, by like chugging it, and it's almost like a masochistic thing. But yeah, I guess that's an interesting point. I don't know if that's like a critique that like hurts my appreciation of the movie, but I guess it's an interesting point in the fact that like when he knocks on the door at the end, he's still an alcoholic.
He's still an alcoholic.
Yeah.
I mean, I really felt that. I mean, I'm not saying it's bad to be not like he is who he is, and I'm not judging it. But like to me, a really good filmmaker would just be more interested in his addiction, in the same way that there's a great moment that I really hoped would play out in interesting ways as the movie went on. But early in the movie, they go to visit his mother, and he steals money from his mother.
One of my favorite parts.
It's an amazing scene.
One of my favorite parts.
But like that's fucked up.
Of course it's fucked up.
But I feel like the movie keeps sentimentalizing Paul Giamatti's character. It keeps suggesting he's worthy of love. He's basically a good guy. He just needs to kind of snap out of it. He needs to, get past his disappointment and his shame and go after this woman. And I'm like, he's an alcoholic who steals from his mother and colludes in his friend deceiving a vulnerable single woman and her child. Like, this is a really fucked up guy.
But you're treating it like someone you know in your life. Like you're judging it the way you judge like a friend. Like you need to get your shit together.
Well, that's why I'm like, Raanan got sober. He's a successful comedian. Like, you're not a failure. Like, you've worked hard. Like, to me, if I imagine your life and I just like project imagining my life, like, okay, there's fucked up things about me that I want to change.
Yeah.
And I'm going to work hard to change them. And I recognize what they are. And I have a sense that, like, my life's going to be pretty fucked up until I address these fucked up things about myself.
Yeah.
And then I embarked on that in going to therapy, like trying to change my bad habits, like working hard on myself. In this movie, Paul Giamatti, he has no reckoning with what's fucked up about himself. He just kind of decides at the end, yeah, I'll go after her, but he didn't do anything to like reckon with his pathology, in my opinion.
Interesting, because she like basically reads the novel. I mean, maybe you could call it a
This
Deus
gets your
Ex
critique
Machina.
about her as a character, right?
Yeah, she reads the novel and just connects to him, and then he goes drive.
She's like the mommy. She's like the mommy rescuer. It's like I really don't see what he did that was so compelling, so charismatic. I mean, I note even in
why is she into him? In other
why
words?
is she into him?
Why is she into him?
I mean, he fumbles the first moment of kissing, which is a great scene, but she kind of like. But then he tries again, and she's kind of like, "Oh, I'll go home." Like he kind of.
Which, by the way, watching that again, I'm like, why wouldn't she just kiss him then? Like,
I agree.
It's like what? So he got awkward for a second. Like I feel like in most situations, it's a little crazy that she's just like, "No, the moment's over now, pal."
Yeah,
yeah.
No, definitely. It's a little like,
yeah.
Why do they do that? I think it's just dramaturgical, right? They want to set up him like. Next time, I'm really gonna go for it.
Yeah,
and
then it's awkward.
He makes more of a move the next time. But I noticed. And even when he makes the bigger move, it's just sort of like touching the back of her. She's like opening the door to her apartment. And he kind of touches her. She turns. They kiss.
It's a good move, honestly. I actually remember thinking like that's a good move with a girl. Like she's opening the door,
right?
And you grab her because first of all, it's hard for her to reject that. But anyway, sorry. Yeah.
Well, I mean. Look, you could say this because Thomas Hayden Church is attractive and Paul Giamatti conventionally would not be considered attractive. Yeah. But, like, Paul Giamatti gets his ass out. We see him fucking. Like, he gets a moment.
You mean like, Thomas Hayden Church?
What did I say?
Yeah, Paul. You mean Thomas Hayden Church?
Yeah, what I say?
You said Paul. But
Thomas Hayden Church.
Yeah.
We see him ass out fucking, like, he's gets a libidinal moment. Paul Giamatti, like, they go into the house. It's like it just skips the sex. It just like then goes to the next morning.
Right.
And I was like, I feel like you could say, well, he's not hot or whatever. Like, we don't want to see that. But I feel like they couldn't think of a way. He's so depressed. Even like in making the move to kiss, like you don't get a sense of him as like
a sexual being.
And I was like, you can't have that scene because it doesn't actually make sense. You just have to cut to the next morning. She like comes in with the paper. He's asleep on the bed.
You're saying it infantilizes him a little, or just takes away sexuality from him?
Unconscious of it is that he's a baby boy and she's a mommy. That's the real fantasy of the movie. Is like, I'm the depressed little boy, and my life sucks, and I'm not going to make an effort, and this magical woman's going to come along and rescue me and take care of me.
These are great points. I mean, maybe that's just how I think.
I mean, it's a common fantasy. I think wanting to be rescued is a common fantasy.
Well, yes, I will admit that, like, it's a tough thing to say because it's like, I mean, I do recognize that her character is there for him. I do recognize that, you know. There's also just so much more in this movie than that, you know, and so much of the relationship between them two.
Right.
To me, it's like Don Quixote. It really is. I mean, he is Sancho Panza, and Thomas Hayden Church is Don Quixote, and they're just like going through life. The one who has, you know, looks at everything kind of like realistically or maybe negatively, and the one who just kind of lives in a fantasy world. They even have windmills in the movie.
Yeah.
So when Don Quixote is like, I'm going to tell her that you're a writer now, you know, you're a writer. You know what I mean? So it is like looking at the life through illusion. So their relationship, I do think, is kind of the key of the movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I do agree. If this movie was centered on both of them, that would be a boring movie. I do agree with that.
Yeah.
And I do agree that she is there for that.
She's a very idealized.
But I don't think that's the central core of the movie. I mean, it's a tough thing to say because it's like, that isn't the most screen time in the movie, you know. And I do think they could show them fucking. I just don't think people want to see Paul Giamatti fucking.
That's the rational reason, like the logical reason. But I wonder about it. Did they succeed in dramatizing a real attraction and a real adult attraction? Like, okay, you know what? I am attracted to this woman.
Right.
I feel passionately towards her.
Well, she is idealized.
She's
I think
totally
I think that's more so with her, maybe. Like,
yeah.
She's so idealized. Like, she's just like,
she's a saint, essentially.
Yeah, she's not a great character. I will admit that.
She reads his whole novel. It's like 800 or 900 pages.
Yeah.
Like, I have friends. I like write short plays. My friends take like months to read.
That's what you hate about this. Just that you don't believe that someone would read that novel.
Somebody would read that long a novel.
I don't think she read the whole thing.
The whole last monologue of the movie.
It's kind of crazy to imagine. It's kind of crazy to imagine after she find out he lied to him, and what she does then is spend the next month.
Yeah. Wow, this guy is a jerk. Let me read his 800-page
reading
novel.
Some like William Gass postmodern kind of novel that's probably like really hard to understand. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I mean, it's a valid critique, and this gets into like, I think the movie is so good at capturing his sorrow, in a tragicomic way that, and I do think that is like, there's so much of the movie that's painful, but you're kind of saying, within that painfulness, there's a certain kind of what do you call it? Like a entitlement it almost feels like you're saying the movie enables him.
I think it enables him a little. It idealizes him or sentimentalizes him a little bit. And I want to say, I don't think that was the original intention. So it's part of my research for today. I found an earlier copy of the script online, and the ending is way more. And I have to say, I'm a huge fan of Election. I think that is a masterpiece.
Yeah, it is.
It's an amazing movie, and it's a more cynical movie, I'd say. Right, like the pathology of the characters is much more just.
Election is more cynical. Sideways is more, you feel the pain a little more.
Yeah,
you know.
Okay, that's a way to say it. It's definitely more cynical. I find it more realistic in that it presents the pathology of its characters without adding a layer of sentimentality or but they're really good. They're actually really good. You know. I feel like I'm being encouraged to like Paul Giamatti. Where I feel like with Matthew Broderick, I was like, this guy, what a fucking.
Yeah, but I would say Election's also maybe colder. In a way. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I mean it's colder. I mean I love both movies, but Election is not an emotional movie. Election is a great comedy about altruism being fake and everyone being ego driven. But like Sideways to me is an emotional. I mean, there's still so much you're dismissing. Like it's just like.
Let me tell you the original ending.
Okay.
I don't want to.
Misquote
it. So don't sue me if I get a few words wrong. But basically, the
'Cause
original
I've read
ending.
the script. I'm trying to remember. Oh,
Well, he listens. So Virginia Madsen leaves a long voicemail or answering machine message, I guess, talking about his novel, and she says that she had some confusion around the ending, like she wasn't exactly sure what it meant. And the movie ends with him speaking out loud, like to the machine, and it's something like the ending, like that was the whole point. Like if you don't understand, like the implication being, if you don't understand the ending, then what the hell? Like you didn't get it. Like the way I read it when I read the script was
so it's just him not changing at all, and just
him not
being
changing at
annoying
all, and
at
like
the
wanting
end?
to be perfectly understood.
How did that end? It just ends like that.
It just ends like that with him like with this one line, like about the ending and being disappointed that she seemed to be confused about it. So I thought that's fascinating.
That's
That's
like
like a more like
That's
to
an
me,
election ending. That's a Coen Brothers ending.
That's a
That's
Coen
a
Brothers ending. It's an election
and they're
ending.
both. I mean, Alexander Payne and Coen Brothers are my favorite, and the Coen Brothers are cold.
Yeah, yeah.
Like they're great, but they are that's the end of Inside Llewyn Davis. You know what I mean? Like, but
So I wonder if they were making this movie with more of an edge, more of a this guy is fucked up. But once they were editing it and, whatever the process is to get these movies made, it sort of seemed like, maybe if we're a little softer, a little gentler with him, like that could be a way through the movie. I just
Yeah.
wonder if that was part of the editing
I mean,
process.
there is, and maybe this is why I do love it so much, is because there is this mix of romance and despair, and there's kind of a mix of Hollywoodness, but also like real despair. And I guess I like that. I mean, to me, you got to have a little warmth to be moved. You know what I mean? Like coldness. I
So
assume
you like election. You like election.
I love Election, and I love Inside Llewyn Davis. I assume you like Inside Llewyn Davis.
I've never seen it.
What?
I know.
Oh, that's crazy.
It's crazy.
But honestly, the way you're talking about this sounds a little like Inside Llewyn Davis, where the Coen brothers don't. Yes. Here's what you're getting at. In Sideways, the director is rooting for him. That's true. In fact, in the screenplay, there's one part where when he doesn't make the move, when he misses the opportunity, the stage direction just say, "Come on, Miles." Like, it's like, yes, the screenplay, he is somewhat of a hero.
Yeah.
Now, I will say in the book, which I've read, which is interesting, the book feels even more of what you're saying, where it feels like the guy who wrote it was kind of him. And it actually is, the book is actually very pretentious.
Oh, wow.
And actually more like Swingers, like, it's a little more, like, this movie is aware of the patheticness.
Yeah.
All right? Maybe you think there's a certain blind spot in the movie about how, like you think in a sense the director has a blind spot, or the creators, about like what men deserve in a way, or like men deserve this woman to come and, but like it is a pathetic movie, and there is that awareness. The book is not pathetic. The book kind of tries to really like glorify.
Oh, wow.
And I actually think the movie, I think they actually read the book and probably thought, oh, we could do this while making fun of the characters more,
Right.
So as for what you're saying, like, I mean, the movie is rooting for him. I mean, that's true. And but I also think the movie is aware of his. But what about the part where you find out he had an affair? Like, the movie's aware that he fucked shit up. I think you're, like, too harsh on this point. There might be some truth to, like, a certain kind of, like, yes, like the Virginia Madsen. But that's great scene where they're in the restaurant and Thomas Hayden Church goes, remember how small she made you feel? Isn't that why you had the affair with Brenda? Which is a great moment. And in that moment, that pokes a bubble in the self-pity. I mean, here he is acting like he's such a victim, and then you find out he had an affair. And he's probably the one who left, or at least got caught in the affair. So I think that pokes a bubble a little in what you're saying. Don't you think? Like,
I took it as just more evidence that, like, whatever his pathology is, he has not addressed it. Like, okay, we're being shown all these pathologies, but we don't get a sense of, like, I need to change, I need to grow, I need to figure shit out. Like, there's an expectation that he will be loved, just plucked out of his misery and welcomed into either his book being published or this woman liking him, or like whatever it is. And it takes a little while to get there. Like, he doesn't seem to begin the movie thinking, I'm going to fall in love on this trip or anything.
No,
it's
yeah.
through his friend's encouragement. But like, like he's a very passive character in the sense of like he puts up with his friend, wanting to go off and have these adventures, sexual adventures with women. It annoys him. He feels somewhat aggrieved, but he kind of goes along with it. He goes along with his friend's deceit. He, is kind of just waiting to see what happens with his book. Like he's beat up. He's depressed. He's down on life. He's finding out, about his ex-wife getting married.
Yeah.
And, I just was waiting for some moment where either like there's a recognition of, wow, there's things about me I need to do something about, or that his what makes him so unlikable, or all the pathology in his character would somehow become the drama. But neither happens. He just sort of continues along in that state, in that dynamic, and this magical woman shows up and, ultimately,
Well, okay, so, all right. His disease is obviously, a big disease of his, and this is something I can relate to, is self-pity. That's like one of his pathological issues.
Yeah.
He is in a constant state of self-pity,
Yes.
right? He, now, by the end, he goes through that self-pity to a point where, and I don't know, to me, it's like his wife saying she's pregnant that's a painful moment for me. It's very painful because you see him trying to put on a good face, and he's like, oh, big of him. You see him, and then it just, life crushes him even more. Now, granted, it's all how you look at it, but sometimes how you look at life, but sometimes, like, life is crushing. It just is, and he is getting crushed. And within that crushingness, he drinks his champagne alone, and yes, she does call him, right? But he also left a message with her earlier saying he's nobody, and he's like admitting to the lie,
Right. He admits that's like his one moment, I would say, of
and
like
he gives her the
confronting
novel.
truth.
He gives her the novel. Like
Well, that was earlier.
No, but I'm saying
prior.
he does attempt certain ways of like connecting.
Sure.
I don't.
She asked to read it. She's super enthusiastic.
Yes, but he does. No, but he does remind her when they're driving away. She wouldn't have brought it up again. They're driving away, and he goes, "Do you still want to read my novel?" You know. So, I do think he does try to make steps to like move on. He's unstuck, and at the end, yes, she does call him. But he still makes the trek to like kind of like move on, and I don't know. I still think it's a choice at the end to knock on the door. It obviously bookends the movie, right? The movie begins with someone knocking on his door, and this is life rushing in at him, right? And then the ending, he's the one knocking. He's trying to make a connection with someone else. And to me, I think he's like, I do think the choice he makes, and once again, I do think you're making a lot of good points, and I think, yes, Virginia Madsen isn't a great character, but I do think he's choosing to like accept his minuscule nature in life and not try to use, as upset as he is about his book not being published, I do think he tries to accept that like getting success as an artist isn't going to fulfill him.
Yeah.
Like the real connection is with another person. I do think he makes that acceptance at the end on some level.
I like that as a theme.
Yeah.
And maybe my objection to the movie is just, to me, that's like, it's like a lifetime of work. Like, if you are driven to be acknowledged by the world,
Yeah.
as both of us are,
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
like, and we recognize progressively through life, like, actually what matters is relationships, like this sort of like narcissistic, grandiose desire to be desired by this abstract thing, this culture.
And it's trying to fill in holes left by personal relationships that have affected us in a way. So
Totally.
you're filling in a hole from a personal thing by some kind of illusion of immortality or, whatever. Yeah, but anyway.
I just think it's like a lifetime of work. And anytime you think you...
What, you want this movie to be like 24 years long?
Well, I feel like there's some... to me, it's suggested that, like, you just have to decide, what matters is people. And, that's... it doesn't matter if your novel's not published. What really matters is that one person who read it and liked it, and that's what life's about. Like, to me, it was a very hopeful ending. And maybe other people would read it like, here he goes, delusional, still alcoholic.
Well, he's still a failure.
Still, sure. But I don't know. I felt like the movie was telling me, the wedding, it seems like, again, in my mind, it's like there's no way that marriage is going to work. Thomas Hayden Church is a complete, I mean,
of
really
course it's not going to
disturbed.
work, but that's not. Look, I will fight you
The
tooth and nail on
music
that.
is very-
That wedding is clearly a sham.
The music is very sentimental in that scene.
I think
they
you're
share
misreading
a
it.
look. They like smile at each
That
other.
look is him smiling, saying, "I'm getting away with this." And
Maybe.
it's Paul Giamatti disturbed in reaction, like this is. And then it cuts to the wide shot of the wedding. The wedding's a sham.
Okay. Do you
And
think it's a
sometimes the
sham when
music is whimsical, and I don't think the music always. I think the music is often, like this kind of like I mean, like it's more so about Schmidt, but like this kind of like '90s music of a comedy. But I think there's something deeper going on there a lot of times than the score suggests.
What about the ending? Do you feel like that is meant to be? This guy's delusional, knocking on her door. He hasn't worked on any of his shit.
No, of course not.
It's meant to be pretty hopeful.
But he's, I mean, hopeful in the sense that he's accepted that his wife's moved on. He may never make it as a writer. He's a high school teacher, but he has his one life to live. I don't know. I don't think to me, that's acceptance. To me, that's not a Hollywood ending by any means. I mean, a Hollywood ending would be the novel getting published. Like, what is it, La La Land? You ever see that?
I never saw
Trash.
that either.
At the end, she's like wanting to give up on acting, and he's like, "You can't give up. Come on, you're a baby. Keep on trying." And then she tries one more time and becomes famous. Like, to me, it's like it's not exactly a Hollywood ending just because yes, it does do the trope of getting the girl. It does do that trope because this movie is steeped in genre, but he's also like a guy who's had to accept the fact that he might never make it. He might just be a high school English teacher, which, you know what? I'm sorry, that is painful if that's your dream. I mean, that is a painful acceptance.
Where did he accept that, though, in the movie? Where is that shown?
I think he accepts it by no longer letting himself feel the self-pity anymore to, like, not move on in a relationship. I think by, like, driving to her, even though, look, yes, she does call him, but he still drives there and knocks on the door.
Yeah.
And I think that is where he accepts it. He gets a nudge from her. Maybe you would have liked it if she didn't call and he just chose to drive, you know?
It'd be interesting if she didn't read the novel, or it's something about her reading that novel. It's like, it's such a deus ex machina to me. Like, you deceived my friend, and your best friend's a psychopath, and
Yeah, it's like the rom-com where, like, the girl just...
she just decides, like,
She, like,
actually,
the women are very forgiving in rom-coms.
very forgiving. It's that if maybe if the last sixth of the movie had been a little messier, a little darker, I could have accepted it. But I guess I felt like it sort of smoothed the path for him very conveniently to give him that knock and that hope. And I was like, this guy to me is still really messed up, and I haven't seen why I should feel hopeful for him. Like, why am I rooting for somebody who I just don't feel like is really acknowledged, like, whoa, I've made a mess of my life. Like,
I mean...
you're saying it's not about
I get
that.
what you're saying. This is I've been playing this game in the podcast. Like, would this behavior be sociopathic in real life?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of times in movies where you're like, if this was in real life, it'd be sociopathic. I mean, I think Thomas Hayden Church's behavior is borderline sociopathic.
Basically, yeah.
But, like, would Paul Giamatti's behavior in real life be kind of unforgivable? You know what I mean? Yeah, if, like, you're, like, dating a guy and you find out his friend's been lying about getting married. Yeah, I mean, I do think there is Hollywood in this movie, but I don't think it's just Hollywood. And that's, I guess, and this is where I think you're like, this is where, and maybe by talking to you, I'm accepting the fact, like, this movie does play with Hollywood tropes.
Yeah, and maybe that's okay.
But
like, it's a
has
movie.
reality within that. But I think
Yeah.
no, it's not. I think it's the contrast between the two and the mix of the two that I find so
That
interesting.
you like. I
Yeah.
think I have it's such a respect for how hard life is.
Yeah.
That if a movie is dealing with the parts of life that are hard, I want to see it really deal with it. And like, I know how hard it is to recognize like you fucked up your life. And like, there's so many things wrong with you, and
Yeah.
it's just up to you. You're the only one who's gonna
But I will say,
make
yeah,
your life different.
I will
Like,
say, quitting drinking might have looked pretty corny in the movie too. You know
Sure.
what I mean, it looks Wonder Boys. They do that with the weed, where he quits weed. Wonder Boys has a similar feel. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
And he quits weed. It feels a little corny.
Yeah.
Especially since it's weed.
Yeah. I mean, the movie I was thinking of, you may think this is a ridiculous comparison, and it's a broader movie and it's a more Hollywood movie. But to me, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles is hilarious, but the pathos is really, really deep. And John Candy remains who he is all the way through. Right? He doesn't become, there isn't a sense of like, his life will be different. He's invited as who he is into this home at the end, if I recall. I haven't seen it in a long time.
Well, Steve Martin changes.
But John Candy, like, it's like some people just are who they are.
Yeah,
and like
of course,
to me, that's the pathos of the movie, that like he's able to acknowledge who he is at the end, and he's welcomed in, and there's a great deal of pathos, and it's also just a hilarious movie. Where
to me, the comedy does not hit as hard as Sideways.
Yeah.
In my opinion. I mean, I think it's a sweet movie, but it's 80s John Hughes comedy. It's a lot of like they hugged in bed, jump up and start saying baseball. You know what I mean? Like the humor in Sideways to me is so much sharper, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, the humor of like,
I know what you mean.
The humor of and it's the tragic comedy, but the humor of when his book gets rejected and he goes in there and he demands the wine, and it's just like masochistic. I'm no longer the wine taster, which is actually similar to a scene in Inside Llewyn Davis where he kind of shits on a folk singer. It's like you're shitting on the thing you love, and then he drinks out of the fucking spit bucket, and then Thomas Hayden Church is leading him away, and Thomas Hayden Church goes, his mother just died.
Yeah, it's a great scene.
I mean, that is so funny that Thomas Hayden Church has that line, the perfect lie, locked and loaded.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, and it's so sad and so funny. And I don't think Planes and Trains has that kind of like tragic comedy element.
Sure. I hear that. Yeah, it's a way more broad. It's a more broad.
Yeah. It's a lot of like
movie.
Kevin Bacon and him trying to chase for a taxi bullshit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In the beginning.
Yeah.
But I see. So you're saying in Planes and Trains, it's more honest about what it's trying to be about. Like the characters, like not trying to. But what I guess what I'm saying. What are you saying in terms?
I'm not
of
saying they're equivalent characters totally, but like John Candy, his situation in life is what it is, and the movie is about him acknowledging the truth of who he is, and stopping with all the lies that he was spinning and making his life seem great, and like he is who he is. He's welcomed in to the family for Thanksgiving, whatever it is, and I just object to a pathetic character being framed as someone who is worthy of being loved and adored just because. Like, I just don't feel like he's earned that. Like, I haven't understood what.
All right. Right. No, I see what you're saying. All right. I'll come back with two things. One thing, he does have this John Candy moment. It's just earlier in the movie. It's after Thomas Hayden Church gets his head busted in, and he calls Virginia Madsen and tells her the truth about everything.
Yeah.
That's his John Candy moment. Now, it pays off later, but I think that is a moment where he's calling her. He calls her. I mean, there's a little self-pity in it, but he calls her and he says, I'm not a writer. My book's not being published. So that moment, that action does happen. And so her calling with the novel is a response to the fact that if he didn't leave that message, she wouldn't have done that.
Okay.
So that is
one moment.
That is the moment. So it's just separate. It's just earlier. So in a way, the novel, her calling, is like a payoff from the moment earlier.
For the small, I would consider that a small moment.
Well, he says his book's not getting published. He owns up to who he is.
Kind of.
There's still self-pity.
He also lies about. He makes it seem like he wasn't going to lie to her about his friend. Like he kind of blurts out that they have the rehearsal dinner, which is how she discovers he's getting married. Right? It's not like he came clean and like acknowledged like
he could have lied. He could have got it out of that one. Don't you think?
It comes out by mistake.
It comes out by mistake, but he could have lied a second. He could have been like at a friend's rehearsal dinner.
And look, he's not going to tell her he stole money from his mother. But like to me, the things that are wrong with him, like his friend lying about a book being published, and him having to acknowledge, hey, actually, it's not being published. That's just like one small facet of a larger issue, which is he's deceitful, he's depressed, he's an addict. Like, I wanted the reality of who he was to be more present and investigated throughout the movie.
Well,
That's it. I've said that.
Okay.
I feel like I've kind of
No. And
exhausted my
I'll
argument
respond
there,
to those.
but-
Okay. A, mothers are made for stealing money from them. That's not. I don't think that has to be a. And I do think him stealing the money, then looking at the picture of him getting married, is just one of the great visual moments. Yes, it is sad, and maybe you're thinking there what a shit person he is. But I guess
it's a great scene. It just to me that's a big deal, don't you
Yeah.
think? To steal from you. I mean, you're making a joke, but like, it's one thing to ask your mother for money, and it's another thing to steal money from your mother. That's a big deal, right? You don't think it is?
I think him. Yeah, I'm not trying to think how to say this. Okay. I like shitty people in movies.
Yeah.
Okay? I really do. To me, this is the opposite of my least favorite genre, the NPR genre.
Yeah.
NPR movies are like Past Lives. You see that?
I did not see it.
You might know
I knew
her.
I wouldn't like it if I can say that.
But Past Lives, The Farewell, you ever see that?
no.
It's not only Asian movies that are I consider NPR movies. Sorry Baby, which came out.
Missed it.
It's movies where, for the most part, everyone in the movie is good.
Horrible.
And it's really boring.
Yeah.
And I like sleaziness.
Yes.
My favorite part of Inside Llewyn Davis in the movie, and maybe it's because I'm a shitty person, or I've been shitty in my past, but there's a scene Inside Llewyn Davis where he gets his best friend's girlfriend knocked up, and then he tries to borrow money from him for the abortion without telling it's for her. And so, like, that moment where he steals from his mom and then looks at the picture of him getting married and how far his life's come.
Yeah.
I mean, that moves me. I don't know. To me, it's like this movie captures the wreckage that becomes people's lives. And I find that very moving. Like outside of like whatever we're talking about with the male, it captures so many movies ignore this aspect of life, which is just the mess we make and the failures we feel like we become and the patheticness of it all. And this movie captures that patheticness in that moment. I don't know. I'm not thinking like, oh, he's got to learn to not steal from his mom. I'm thinking like he needs to break free from his self-pity and move on with his life.
Yeah.
And as for the addiction, I don't know. I could see him if he's like has a better attitude and actually isn't caught in self-pity. I could see him getting out of the drinking into still being a wine taster. I could see that.
Yeah.
Because he is a wine taster. And I could see him like, it's not, I don't think it's like Flight. You ever see Flight?
The Denzel Washington?
Yeah. Or like Leaving Los. I don't think it's like, if he either nothing. I think he could tone it down.
Yeah.
Because the truth is he does appreciate wine when he's in a good mood.
Yeah.
And like when he's in a good mood and he's enjoying life, I mean, which is wine's a metaphor for, like, right, he can appreciate it. So I do think he can, having a better mind state would, like, I don't know if he
But
needs
there's
to
a
go to
lot of
rehab.
scenes where he is depressed and wants, he goes in, he gets a whole bottle. The scene where he keeps asking for multiple
I think the
pours.
depression comes first with him.
Yeah.
I really do. I don't think this is like, I think his depression comes first and then the over drinking.
Yeah.
I think he could be, that's how I feel. And I also think a scene of him at rehab would be, I mean, would that make you, would you be like, that's great? Like, it would be corny.
It would be corny, but in the ending of Election, Matthew Broderick is like a tour guide. His marriage is falling apart. He's like a tour guide in D.C. It's pathetic.
Yeah.
Right? And you see his Reese Witherspoon, like actually like working for a congressperson or something.
Yeah.
I think it's like, in my mind, it's like that's satisfying because the consequences of the pathology are clear. As opposed to like, you've shown me the pathology for 2 hours and then you're like suggesting to me this happy future. Well, I'm not saying I want an after school special where he goes to rehab and learns like, oh, I'm fucked up. Like, I want it to be sophisticated, like where his pathology was just more dramatized and integrated into the last third of the movie. I think it's probably like,
well, fix it. Okay, so because I obviously, but Election is about people who don't change. It's a satire. It's a very brutal satire under its soft touch. It's about people who aren't really fully ever aware. Like Matthew Broderick is never really aware. Even at the end, he's lying. His whole narration's a lie. He's like, I love being here. I'm really happy. So like, Election is a movie that people don't change. This is a movie about someone who actually does make a change. So there's, but how would you have done the movie differently? Tell me what you think, and then I'll tell you if I think that's.
I mean,
better.
I mean, you put me on the spot. I don't, I can't write a masterpiece
Well,
right now. But
Give me a vague idea.
Here's a
Just
really
to understand what
here's
you
a really
mean.
basic thing for in terms of drama. Okay, leaving somebody a answering machine message, that is not drama. That's very low stakes. It's very easy to do. You tell somebody the truth on a message. Like a lot of the drama is just kind of skipped over or denied. Right in this, like the final big act of the movie is another friggin' answering machine message. The final shot of the movie is the anticipatory reunion of two characters. Like, for whatever reason, this movie doesn't really put people in a room and really like have them go at it and like see their pathologies and desires clash and like what happens. And maybe you're saying, well, it's not that kind of movie, it's a comedy. I still think there's a way to do that in a comedy. I feel like it just sort of like, it's just gentle. It's so gentle with Paul Giamatti, and like so it allows it to evade these like trickier questions, I would say.
Yes, and I would say the movie is more focused on how one accepts their place in life and moves on than it is about their relationship and the specifics of their relationship. You know what I mean? Like, it's definitely not, even though that's in the movie, that's not the focus of the focus is kind of like the movie. To me, the movie captures his sadness and his despair in a really funny way, in a way that I find I can connect to and relate to, and then it shows how he is able to like kind of move forward in a very small way.
Yeah.
And so to me, at the end is like, to me, it's like, yeah, I know what you're saying. To me, the movie becomes like kind of a bittersweet meditation on life. And like you see, it's almost like you see him slowly like coming out of it. You just see a gentle first step. But yeah, I mean, it's obviously not going into like the relationship, but that's not this movie though. I mean, like this movie isn't, that's why, even though I do recognize that Virginia Madsen's a flaw, I don't think the flaw fully hurts the movie. Like, I do think she's not that interesting of a character, and yes, there is a little of that. But the movie deals so much with just like the relationship with him and Thomas Hayden Church, which is amazing. And there's so many interesting like dynamics between them. When Thomas Hayden Church is bawling and you're like, is he just acting? When he tries to get him to come back, or is this really how he feels? Like, what's going on there? And their whole dynamic, and like, I mean, do you not like the scene when they're on the bench and he's like talking about being meaningless, and he has that quote, and you're like, I could never write like that. He's like, neither could I. It's Bukowski.
Yeah.
I mean, I fucking love that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
There's just nice moments. There's nice moments.
That's not just nice to me. That's like a hilarious take on like how life just gets worse and worse. Even he can't even write his own. Have his own. The words he said about being nothing aren't even his. Like to me, that's like. Not only is he aware of being nothing, he can't even like have that writing be respected. I don't know. It's, to me, it's like there's a tragic comicness that it's just like I find so moving. It's so painfully funny, and it's so aware of our how small we are. And the pain of recognizing how small we are.
You seem to find something. The way that Paul Giamatti's character is somewhat pathetic, you seem to feel like this like resonates with just sort of like the tragedy of life, the challenges of life, like just how difficult it is to be original, to feel alive, to feel like something good is happening.
And maybe that's all ego, self-pity. But
I think I relate it to my life and the lives of people I know. And I think to myself how hard we've tried to grow and like move past our infantile, narcissistic habits and predilections, deal with our addictions, deal with the ways we're not good at loving, recognizing we're still flawed, but working hard, like building our careers, like struggling. So to me, like, I think I look at this and I feel like there's just none of that struggle that I'm seeing dramatized.
The struggle of personal growth?
The struggle just to deal with your pathology as it manifests in your life to have a better life. Like, he seems to want a better life, right? He, like, at the end, he wants to try with this woman.
Yeah.
So, like, that.
But you don't think it's earned?
Don't think it's a what?
Earned.
Which just hasn't been dramatized. He's just been able to act out his depressive, alcoholic self-pity for the whole movie and then is magically rescued. But if you, I could see why you love the movie. If you think of him as sort of a, like, he represents just like how fucked up we all are on some deep level, how hard life is, and like it is a beautiful portrait of that. I just think I relate to it personally and feel like everybody I know fights to get out of where I'm watching Paul Giamatti for this whole movie.
I mean, I have a lot of pity for self-pity. I mean, that's true. I do. And maybe for you don't as much. I don't know. But, like, I feel bad when I see people stuck in self-pity. And I've been there. And I guess I do relate to those. I mean, like, his wife saying she's pregnant and him at McDonald's alone drinking, like, I just like drinking the champagne alone. Yeah. Or him, like, at the end where there's, like, no mail for him. You know, I guess it is self-pity, but it's also, like, kind of the way life is sometimes. Like, life is kind of lonely and you kind of have no one, or it's empty, or it's like, you know, you have lonely nights. And yes, you can pick yourself up from it.
Yeah.
But I think the movie does a good job of capturing those moments in a way that's like, I don't know. I guess I do find it moving. Are you not moved by it in a way, or?
I mean, I'm not a person who's lacking compassion. Like,
no, I know.
If I'm talking to somebody and like they're stuck and they're like, I'm fucked up, you know, like my life is not going well. I'm complaining. I'm whining. Like, I can relate to that and I can have compassion for it. At a certain point, I am going to be like, so what are you doing?
Sure. Paul Giamatti would be exhausting as a friend.
Yeah.
But we don't have to be friends
and
with him.
We're
watching
doesn't
the movie.
care. Like, he just wants him to get laid and have fun and cast off his gloom. Like, he's not a sensitive enough friend to be bothered and be like, dude, like, what are you doing?
But there is, okay, so I think there's more than just self-pity here. I really do. This is where I want to, this is where, like, yes, everything Thomas Hayden Church says is a lie. So he is just lying about life, right? Yeah. And it's all pretty vapid. His optimism, his everything, it's all very vapid. There's an irony there because some of his advice to Paul Giamatti is kind of good, you know? But overall, it's easy for him to be positive because he doesn't really look at life, right?
Yeah.
I think, and I've seen this a couple times, when I first saw it, I think, like, I saw him more of just like a loser. I think there's something actually pretty special about him. And this is where I think it goes beyond just self-pity. I think he's a very smart, sensitive guy. And I think he, like, has, like, qualities of real, like authenticity, you know? And it's an inauthentic world, and it's hard for him to hide his emotions, and he is extra sensitive to it. So I do think it's not just, like, pure loser, and I do think he's a very talented guy.
So
and his love of wine...
Do you think the book is, like, a symbol of, like, a sensitive person in a harsh world?
I think the book thinks he's cool.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, the book he writes in the movie.
I think the book has a lot of good stuff in it.
Yeah.
I do. And I think, and this is the other thing...
So you believe the agent. It's a symbol of, like, the world is harsh. It doesn't care about insight and sensitivity.
I mean, I think yes, but I do. Yes, I do. I think there's actually something special about Paul Giamatti. And now maybe this is just me projecting and talking about myself here. And this is where it's like, what are we talking about, me or Paul Giamatti, you know? And he says it. He has that speech about wine.
Yeah.
Remember, he's in that beautiful speech. And at the end of it, he says, like, he's thin-skinned, I believe.
Yeah.
But once you get it, there's, like, some beautiful stuff, you know? And I think he is a beautiful guy who, like, is sensitive. And I think that's why she's kind of into him. Hey, he does know wine, like, really well.
Yeah, and she's into wine.
And she's into wine. So I do think she is really impressed by him.
Yeah.
Now, he is a little pretentious. And the first time I saw this movie, I think I wrote him off as just pretentious. And I thought it was a funny, like, movie. But, like, I see now, like, he's pretentious, but also really smart and really sensitive and authentic, and those people don't always do well, you know?
Yes.
Those people do get caught up in self-pity, but I don't think it's pure narcissism.
I think we're hitting on, like, the crux of the issue.
Yeah.
For our different reactions to the movie and, like, life itself, because I think it's a really interesting philosophical question. Like, and I grapple with this a lot. Like, where does, like, genuine, like, hurt at the ways that life is superficial and frustrating and challenging, where does sensitivity to all those frustrations and difficulties blur into narcissism and entitlement. Like, it's a very thin line.
Or self-pity.
You know? It's self-pity, yeah.
Yes, it is a thin line, and I do think a lot of narcissists are highly sensitive. I don't think he's a narcissist. I don't. I do think he is, like, against what Thomas Hayden Church is doing, but I also think he's, like, it's his bachelor party. I don't know. I do think he, like, what's he supposed to do? Just leave? I mean, he's a friend. I don't know. Like, I don't think that's such a hard, like, he's getting caught up in this guy's crazy lies. He doesn't like it, you know? So I don't think he's, like, and I do think he is, like, his father's stroke, I think, did have a lot of effect on him. I don't think it's purely, obviously there's his hurt, but I think there's other just sensitivities that, like, go beyond that. And I do think, like, I think there's a gentlemanliness manner to him that she finds charming. Like, he is, even though there's a little patheticness, he's also a bit of a gentleman, and, like, I don't know, there's, like, a suaveness, like, he's pathetic, but there's also something heroic about him. I don't know. He does have, like, a nice smile, and he does kind of, like, it's authenticity. That's what it is. He really is, like, even though he's lying the whole time, he really is, like, an authentic. Don't you get the sense that a little?
I hear what you're saying. I mean, I started riffing like, in a kind of weird psychoanalytic way in my mind when you were talking, because I was like, is Thomas Hayden Church like his id? Is that like who he wishes he could be? Like, what is the friendship? What's drawing him to this guy? Like, what is their bond? I know they go back to college, and
I mean, I think it might be kind of vapid, like because he says he's just a guy new in college at one point, you know.
I think it made me think of the scene where he goes and buys the barely legal. Goes back to the hotel. He's drinking. He has a barely legal on his chest. I was like, you know, does he wish he could just be fucking and, like, you know, is this like his id, his, like, some part of him? You don't think so? No,
I think he is gentlemanly. Like, you see it as asexual. I think he's actually kind of like a romantic who really doesn't. I don't think he objectifies women.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's kind of his charm a little, because that's the truth. The truth is he is charming. Like, I think he is. It's like a weird mix. He's pathetic, but there's a charm to him.
He is charming. I'll give you that. Yeah.
And I think she is charmed by him. I do think she's a little boring, but I actually see why she's into him. I mean, there is a charm in that, like, nice guy. Like, this is a guy who can maybe, like, actually trust. And I think he does care about. I think he's the opposite of Thomas Hayden Church. Thomas Hayden Church sees every woman as a whole.
Yeah.
I don't think he thinks that. And maybe that's why they didn't show the sex. Maybe they didn't want to. And maybe they could have. Maybe they could have done it a different way. But I don't think he's, like, deep down, like, lustful. I think he's, and maybe that's, like, a bit of a superpower, a little idealization. But I think he's, like, I think he really does want to treat women with respect.
He's gentle. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a gentleness to him.
Yeah.
And I think Thomas Hayden Church lies, like, his whole life is vapid. And I don't think Paul Giamatti's life is vapid. I think there's, like, a lot of depth and feeling and honesty. He just gets weighed down by it and gets lost in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it's an interesting question that people who are beaten up by the world, who feel, like, weighed down by disappointment, frustration, like, where that is, like, a kind of a vital sensitivity and, you know, something we should cherish about somebody, that they are attuned to their deepest feelings of sadness and grief and disappointment, and where that becomes self-pity, entitlement, narcissism. I think, like, that's a fascinating question philosophically, and, like, the movie kind of lives in some zone where you could we're arguing either sides of it.
Well, I mean, I think if your sensitivity is only to your own feelings, then that's the narcissism, right? Like, Trump is, I guess, sensitive to him being, like, you know, like, to people disrespecting him, but he's not sensitive to other things, right? Yeah. I don't think Paul Giamatti is only sensitive to his own feelings. In fact, I actually think he does, like, I think Thomas Hayden Church is.
Sure.
I think Thomas Hayden Church is a pretty big piece of shit.
You just don't think it's a big deal to steal money from your mother, I guess. I just think of his mother, like, looking, when she goes back to put money in, it's going to be lighter or smaller, and she's going to think, wait, is there less, like, did I forget?
No,
like, she's going to have some...
I think the idea is that she's so drunk she wouldn't know.
She won't even notice.
Yeah. I think she's so drunk she wouldn't even notice. I mean, the man's broke. She wasn't going to give him the money.
Yeah.
I don't know. I do think, like, don't you think, like, like her paper she's writing or like math? Don't you think he could help her with that or like encourage her? I mean, don't you think he's like an encouraging, like, I do think he's someone who can like really respect someone else. And the way he talks about his wife, I mean, maybe, but he said she had the best palate of everyone I know. You know what? I think a narcissist would have been like, she has the best palate other than me. I think he really is like able to like appreciate other people.
I mean, a narcissist, I think, would also continue to hang on to the relationship, and he drunk dials, when he's had some wine, and
I mean that's life though. I mean it's a marriage. It's I mean like he's a drunk mess, but I don't think he's going out of his way to hurt people. That's the thing. He's not trying to hurt anyone.
This is the way that I feel like you can argue that he's sentimentalized all the way through, because he's not going out of his way to hurt Sandra Oh by not telling her. He's not like deliberately like I'm gonna not tell her that my friend is scamming her.
Well, what would you do in that situation?
Look, it's the kind of thing that I think is like, again, it may not make for a compelling movie, but maybe he pushes back a little with Thomas Hayden Church in private.
Back, yeah.
Could there be more of a, you got to stop. I'm not going along with this anymore. Like, he objects, throughout the movie, objects to Thomas Hayden Church, and then sort of like, well, okay, what are you going to do?
I think, now this is where I think with heterosexual men, you can't be a cockblock. That's the worst thing.
And the scenario doesn't exist in the gay men, because the gay men just are all having sex constantly. It doesn't matter, partner, stranger.
Do you think it's easier to appreciate this if you're like? Is it like if you're gay, these people just seem kind of more ridiculous, and I'm like caught up in it a little? Or is it a male heterosexual fantasy?
I don't want to stereotype gay men, but
no.
Certainly, a lot of like the secrecy of Thomas Hayden Church, that just for most gay men that wouldn't apply.
But do you think like
the husband would be on the trip with him, the fiance?
Do you think it's a male heterosexual fantasy, the movie, a little, and like when you watch it, you're just like, you see that more, and I'm just caught up in it?
I think there are some people. I feel like some women view Paul Giamatti's character as a kind of incel type, sort of like, woe is me.
Yeah.
And like,
people have no pity for that.
No pity.
I
don't go that far.
Okay.
I don't go that far. I think gay, straight, whatever, I think there's a universal fantasy that we will be rescued by a parent. I think that never goes away as long as we live. You're
saying gay and straight people are the same.
I think we all we're all in this way. We're all the same. Some idealized parental figure is going to rescue us and make our lives better, and like we deserve it. I think that's a powerful fantasy that is not true. A, it's not going to happen, and B, we don't deserve it. I'm not saying we deserve punishment, but like we don't deserve to be rescued. But I think it's like one of these like foundational unconscious fantasies that most of us have now worked through, and I feel like the movie ultimately like reifies that fantasy.
But within that, he does make some kind of personal growth. You might say the whole thing ultimately the relationship's not going to work because he's going to treat her like his mom, but he still made a step forward at the end, and that is something. Like, and I don't think it's the movie's responsibility to be like break down the foundational problems of all of, you know what I mean? Like who knows if the relationship is going to work? But I do think the knock is earned. Like, and I do think she's calling him back because he left that message to her, and I do think like he got caught up in these lies Thomas Hayden Church are saying, and it did put him in a bad position. Like I don't judge him.
Yeah.
I don't think he's a bad guy. I think he hurts himself more than anyone, and I think Thomas Hayden Church is a bad guy. I mean, I don't think Thomas Hayden Church is trying to hurt people. He's just trying to do whatever he wants, which is going to hurt people.
Yeah.
He's not a sociopath, I think. He's a narcissist, which seems similar at times.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's like, I think the difference, in my opinion, is a sociopath really does get off manipulating people. I think a narcissist just does what they want to do.
Right.
No matter what other people feel,
Yeah.
But I don't know. So I do think there's, I don't know. I do think there's good quality. I think what you're saying is interesting, and I do hear it, and I do think maybe I personally, this movie feels so close. I know you think I'm different from the character, but like this movie feels so close to me that maybe I'm moved by self-pity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so maybe there's a bias because I relate. I mean, that,
sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
On some level of your psyche, like that self-pity is still there, and you sympathize with it. Like it's something you don't judge it harshly. You're not super critical. I'm like coming down more critically.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, I see. I see how it can be overwhelming, and that gets into like how subjective art is, because like this is like when people don't like this movie, I do have to remind myself like I do relate to this a lot.
Yeah,
it's a incel-y, not super attractive, chubby dude. Even though I feel like I'm way fat, I feel like he's not even fat in this. Who like, can't move on, and like, even though the woman does want to fuck him in this, but like. So maybe other people can't relate. I still think it's a very well-structured, funny, tragic comic movie. But yeah, I watch Girls. I know you love Girls. I watch Girls and I just find myself viscerally annoyed. So I guess I have to accept the fact that like certain women find this viscerally annoying.
Right.
But then how do you judge art if you're like, how can you objective? I guess you can't objectively.
Well, yeah, there's no objective. I mean, I think my sense of objectivity is that you are more attractive and lovable than Paul Giamatti's character in the movie.
Yeah.
Like to me, I feel your life drive come through. I find it very attractive. Like, and to me, it tracks that like you got sober, or you got married.
Right.
Like I'm happy you didn't stop trying to change where Paul Giamatti is.
But
I know you may say he makes some small changes.
I'm 41. I hate to say it, it's very depressing. I think he might be 35 for this.
He's 35.
I don't know. I think he might be.
He's like young. I know.
So I'm like, that might have been me 5 years ago.
Right.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, and it does get into this question of like, the subjectivity of art, which is obviously this podcast. Which really the point of the point of this podcast is obviously pointless because everyone has like it's fun, pointless, but everyone has a very different subjective relationship to art. We can all recognize. I mean, obviously you recognize this is a well-made.
Oh
movie,
yeah, definitely well-made.
Right?
Definitely.
Yeah. But like it's the same thing with stand-up. Like it's like. Bill Burr, like I find Bill Burr hilarious, but I could see a woman not finding him funny when he's just talking about how annoying women are. So it's like it does get into like what connects to you, and and this movie just is my movie. Like it's yes, self-deprecating, pathetic, failing, struggling as an artist, not being able to move forward, the obsession with wine. I think that. I don't care about wine, but the idea of being upset, the idea of showing a movie where someone's defined by their tastes is really big for me. I think that's it. And the detail in the movie is just like, it just works for me. I mean, like, I know we're wrapping up, but I will say, like, I think in the beginning of the movie, they establish his character so well right away. I just think right away, yes, to move his car, the car's parked badly. You get the sense he was drunk. Next thing you know, he's like, I'm gonna be there right now. Cut him on the toilet. You just get a sense of his character so well, and then him in traffic, almost finishing the crossword puzzle because he is very smart.
Yeah.
And then the way he orders croissant, he pronounces
that was a great detail.
The detail, you have to admit, the detail in this movie.
Yeah.
Everything from his character, his pretentious way of talking, him actually being smart, his life being a mess. Somehow it's the perfect house for like successful Armenians. I don't know how to explain it, but that is exactly like the kind of successful house. The way she goes, look how the cat dragged.
Yeah.
And the father's dumb view of like, art, like fiction. Every detail is just so perfect.
Yeah.
To me, So you recognize that.
Oh, totally. But high quality movie.
Yeah.
Very meticulously made. Totally. 100%.
You don't think it sucks. That was just a fun thing to like.
I think the core, like, what it's dramatizing bugs me.
Bugs you a lot.
Bugs me a lot.
But you recognize it's funny.
Yeah. It's funny. It is funny. There's some great scenes. I love the scene on the golf course. We didn't talk about that. That's a great little scene where he goes after.
It's so funny.
It's amazing.
That scene, I mean, the scene with the naked guy running up to the window is so funny. I mean, the scene, like, I just like them walking alone at like just middle-aged men walking on the highway, or not the highway, but that road.
Side of the road, yeah.
It's just so funny to me. Like, you got to get your dick smooched. Like, that kind of humor of having like, that's the kind of humor I love. Having like a middle-aged man going, you got to get your dick smooched. It kills me. I mean, that's why I don't always get when like people are like, I don't like the movie. I don't care about these people. It's like, it's making fun of so much of, it's like such a funny, like it's such a funny comedy, I want to see if I missed, I mean, the Merlot part's amazing. The way he says we're not drinking fucking Merlot. I mean, it's just like, it's just, I I don't know. I just like, and also obviously the movie captures the tackiness of modern life. He's a brilliant at decor. Like he captures the decor of every venue.
Yeah.
The buffalo.
I liked everybody's apartments and houses,
it's
like all that stuff. It was
The
great.
man, Alexander Payne is like and Jim Taylor, his level of detail of every room, of everything. I just think it's a perfectly like, he perfectly expresses this like, it's like almost realistic and satirical.
Yeah.
This worldview of like tacky, like this movie's not the Midwest, but this kind of tacky, like decor of life. You know, you feel the motel room just feels so real. I don't know. You know what I mean? So yeah. So I love this movie, but I recognize what you're saying, and I get it. Yeah, I do get it. You know, and I do think there's definitely validity in what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we talked about it. I'm glad to hear. Because when girls say they don't like it, I'm not like I never. I'm too mad to like keep on asking follow-ups.
Yeah. I'm glad I brought my criticism to you. You were able to hear it.
But you wouldn't say whenever I talk to girls who don't like it, they're like, "Who cares about these kind of people?"
Yeah.
You wouldn't say.
I don't like that kind of criticism.
Yeah,
Like who cares? Like I
That's
feel like
so
people have said
stupid.
that about my work. If
Well,
like
you
they
can say that
don't
about anything.
they don't like a character, like who cares about that? I don't care about that.
But also, that's like you just being uncaring when
Yeah.
someone says that.
Totally.
Who cares about starving children?
Yeah,
you can,
exactly.
You can say
I
that for
don't care.
everyone. Yeah. I mean, yeah. So people say that about Succession. Like, who cares about it? It's like, what? I mean, yeah, but like,
yeah,
is
have
it
a critique
interesting?
that's
Yeah.
more specific.
Yeah. So I appreciate your critique. I thought it was very valid,
Thank
and you always have smart critique, and I didn't get mad. We did well.
No, I thought it was great.
Yeah. I mean, I also don't.
I was worried you'd get maybe a little mad at me.
I don't get mad about this shit. Joe List, I feel like if I say anything negative about his movie, he loves. But you know what? Not for Joe, because I do think he talks well. But anger in movie criticism is always a result of being inarticulate.
Yeah.
You know, if you can articulate how you feel, you're not going to be angry.
Yeah.
You
Good
know?
point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're angry to I once got in an argument about Spider-Man 2 with a friend of mine.
Oh my God.
And I love Spider-Man 2. I thought it was kind of like a masterpiece when it came out. The Sam Raimi one.
Yeah.
And he didn't like it. And I was like articulating why it was so good. And he got so angry because he couldn't.
Wow.
He didn't like it, but he couldn't express it. And then he heard me just be able to articulate. And it was the fury of the primitive.
Yeah. I know that feeling.
Yeah.
That's why I think I've worked so hard to like be articulate. Like
People
it's a
hate-
terrible feeling to like.
People hate us, though.
Yeah.
They hate us. They get mad. If they can't do that, they get mad.
Yeah.
You know?
True.
And I think we articulated our points very well.
I think it was really good discussion.
Yeah, this was great.
Awesome.
Do you have any plugs?
Nothing
or?
to plug. Nothing coming up. Just
Yeah,
chugging along.
playwrights, a little different. You're not gonna be like, see me this weekend.
Yeah. With the playwrights, like once every 3 years, you have something to plug. So
Right.
But we'll wait. We'll wait. Next time I have something coming up, I'll
Hell
come
yeah.
on. And
Well, read his plays. He has so many great plays. Read Dying City. Go see it, or watch the movie 4. Just turn it off before the ending, or you know. And as for me, you can see me in Boston this weekend.
Nice.
I'll be at the Goose Comedy Club, which is a very silly name, but it's a fun room. And then I'm at Grand Rapids next weekend, and then I'm all over the road. punchup.live/Raanan/tickets. So see me there, and thanks again for being on.
yeah,
Chris.
thanks for having me.
Cut.
Awesome.
Raanan is fat and he's a Jew. He'll tell you something that you already knew. Your favorite movie sucks. Your favorite movie sucks. American Beauty or Forrest Gump. Your favorite movie sucks.